On February 20th of 2022, Vicky and I joined some of our friends to run the Austin Half Marathon. This was the first time we'd done this race in 2 years. The previous time was when Vicky fell and broke her wrist about 5 miles into the run. So right off the bat, this year's half was special. Vicky would vanquish the South First Street curse by running safely past the spot where she had crashed 2 years ago. My big issue was that I had missed most of the previous year's training after having bunion surgery in March and then injuring my left knee in November. Both of these setbacks meant I was unable to run the full marathon this year as I had originally planned. In fact, Vicky and I were both quite a bit behind in our conditioning. It's true that we had completed 3 very easy half marathons in the 3 months leading up to this race. Unfortunately, those races represented most of our meager distance training throughout the latter part of 2021. At this point in our training, Vicky and I were not fully prepared for the challenging course. But we were joined by Jody and Jeremy, who ran with us for the entire race, and by Heather and Zainab in the final hilly miles. And that always makes it fun for us. Running with our peeps, as Vicky calls it. Furthermore, we had near-perfect weather and excellent support. And of course, I always enjoy being among the running community, often chatting with random strangers I meet during the run. Based on my evidence, empirically gathered over countless runs, runners are generally very friendly people and quite often interesting to talk to. I think my most lasting impression from this race was how much we all enjoyed running together again. Spending quality time together, challenging ourselves a bit, and continuing to nourish the lasting friendships that have come to us through running. I can't help thinking that this half marathon was, for everyone, sort of a reboot. So now, let's see some scenes from the race itself. Jeremy took this photo of the starting line early in the morning before the crowds of runners had arrived. Jody and Jeremy walked out onto Congress Avenue to avoid waiting among the throngs at the start. Vicky and I walked out to meet them, and I took this photo looking backward toward downtown. Here you can see the incline along Congress Avenue in the first couple miles of the race. Here comes the Vixter as we head up Congress Avenue to catch up to Jody and Jeremy. The race has just started, and the wheelchair athletes have just come by. Here come the fastest runners. One of these men and women will probably win the full or half marathon. These dogs were offering, with their owner's help, high fives to the runners as they passed by. Of course, I always try to get a little video of any of the live music we see on course.
Only for a minute, and if my world shook, I couldn't let myself live it. 'Cause all on my own, I made this bed and I'm laying down in it.
At this point, we've joined Jody and Jeremy and are much further up Congress Avenue. We are just about to round the turn onto the feeder to Highway 71. This will take us to the infamous South 1st Street. Here comes Vicky, running on the long, fast downhill stretch on South 1st
That's a nice
Street.
one, babe. That's nice.
Downtown Austin looks far off, but it's just a fraction of the distance we'll be running today. It looks like we had a good turnout for this year's race. And here comes Vicky, closely guarded by Jeremy right behind her.
Hi, Jody.
Gonna move to the sidewalk? Stay on the road.
Jake Clement, who was the original Galloway program director before Will Carlson, appears with his band at every Austin marathon.
Howdy, Jake!
If you come down the river. If you come down to the river.
Howdy, Jake!
Bet you're gonna find some people who live. You don't have to worry, cause you got no money. People.
We are now passing the spot where Vicky fell 2 years ago. Will she make it through this time? She did it. She beat the curse.
Thank you.
We continued down South 1st Street, heading toward the lake and downtown.
Oh, you didn't tell Vicky that you don't get what you don't ask for.
Well, I'll tell her.
There was certainly a lot more music on this course than we'd had in the San Antonio Rock and Roll Half Marathon a couple of months ago. This lady was wearing an unusual costume. At this point, we're running next to the School for the Deaf. As you will see, Vicky has discarded her throwaway layer, as I have. Jody is still wearing her jacket, but was looking forward to being rid of it.
Hey, honey.
Hey, babe.
Now we've reached 1st Street Bridge. We'd all stopped to use the bathrooms at Auditorium Shores, and we were about to turn left on Cesar Chavez. We were approaching mile 7, which is where Heather said she'd meet us. Vicky called her at this point to find out where she would be, but she didn't speak to Heather and had to leave a message. Looking back, you can see many people crossing the bridge behind us. We passed a cheering section with enthusiastic volunteers holding amusing motivational signs. Next, we passed under the Mopac Bridge, where we saw this man and his costumed son. After this point, we started on a long stretch on Lake Austin Boulevard. We were nearly past the golf course when we received word from Heather that she was on the course and chasing after us. I decided to just stop and wait for her so she wouldn't have to continue to try to catch us all by herself. Here was yet another band on Lake Austin Boulevard, right by the Tom Miller Dam. The final 3 miles of the half marathon course are pretty hilly. What helped was that Zainab was waiting for us at Enfield and Pecos. She ran the remainder of the course with us and provided some fresh energy. Here are folks coming along Enfield Road, having just run beneath the Mopac overpass. I was already tired when we reached this last portion of the course, and the hills took all that was left of my leg strength.
Buy the really expensive filtrate, which costs like.
And here comes the unstoppable Vixter, and Zainab is right with her. Here everyone is coming downhill on Enfield approaching Lamar Boulevard. We are soon to confront the most daunting hill on the course.
There goes Jeremy. Hey, they're coming.
New York last weekend.
Yeah.
So.
I overheard this gentleman using extremely foul language in reference to the aforementioned hill. Here is my view of the hill after struggling to run the entire thing. I have run the same hill many times in the past, but this time it was much more difficult than it had ever been. I have embraced the experience, though, and regard it as a compelling incentive to get back in shape. Here we see the man who so dreaded this hill completing his ascent, tired but triumphant. Jeremy had plenty of energy left to charge up the hill. That's what I want to do next year.
Marathon or half marathon courses. That is the biggest hill on either course today. You guys just crushed it. There's nothing else you can do tonight. So you hold your damn head up and you get through this thing.
And here's the rest of our gang.
You keep your head up. You be proud.
Hey, Vic! Hey, Vic!
There you go. You keep running.
There's less than a mile remaining, and it's flat and easy all the way to the finish. And here are Vicky and me with two Galloway alumni, Christy and Deanne. Vicky and I have encountered Christy at the San Antonio and 3M half marathons in the last few months, and Deanne has moved away from Austin, but still travels back here to run with her buddies. Here are some celebratory photos after our completion of the half marathon. And here's the entire group, minus Zainab, who took the photo. Vicky posed for this photo in front of a beautiful live oak tree as we walked back to Heather's car. This is our finisher's medal, which, like all the recent Austin Marathon medals, is fashioned as a belt buckle. Later in the day, Jody, Jeremy, Vicky, and I celebrated our run with a delicious top-notch hamburger at Salt and Thyme, a restaurant with an attached butcher shop. This photo shows the interior of Salt and Thyme. As you can see, it is a no-frills establishment, But don't be deceived, food is world class. That brings me to the end of this video account of our half marathon. As I said at the outset, it felt like an especially significant run. Most especially because it brought all of us together and renewed our interest in running. Hooray for that!